Yep, I will. Yep. You did that, right? Oh, okay. Where's my mute button? All right.
Okay, we'll call the meeting to order, 8:15. Roll call, all are present except for Tim Kinner, he is excused today.
May you want to introduce our new member?
Oh yeah, and Kim Pearl, we appointed Kim after Chuck's departure, so Kim will be joining us. Thank you, Kim, for sitting in with us at the Land and Water meeting.
Yeah.
Number 3, we'll move on to approval and repair of agenda. Anybody have any additions or corrections? Not, no motion to approve.
I'll second
By Nick. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
that.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Approval and repair of the minutes. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes from last month? Everybody had a chance to read through them. If there is none, I'll need a motion to approve the minutes.
Make a motion.
By Kim, second by Nick. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 5, we'll move to public comment. We'll do 3 minutes per person. Is there anybody from the public wishing to speak? Is there anybody from the public wishing to speak?
Sue Weiser from the town of West Kewanee. With the resignation of Chuck Wagner, the Kewanee County Land and Water Committee has been reshaped for the next several months. Representing all Kewanee County residents should be a major focus, and to remain objective when considering any actions affecting them. The new chairman declaring to keep moving forward with sensible solutions, while supporting the infamous motion in July for the committee to do nothing and keep the status quo with no landowner info letters and no sample lease agreements to be made available to view on the Land and Water Department website. Hypocrisy is a word that makes people uneasy. At last month's meeting, the new chairman noted that Rick Clark, a notable voice in agriculture, would be in the area. He was a presenter at Deer Run Dairy's soil demonstration. His presentation was titled, "Change is Good. Change is necessary. Change is the answer." One can only hope the new committee will heed these words and move forward with sensible solutions, promoting the health, welfare, and safety of all Kewanee County residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else from the public that wishes to speak? Anybody else from the public that wishes to speak? Anybody else from the public that wishes to speak? Hearing none, we'll close that part of the meeting. And we'll move on to action item number 6. We have to do election for vice chair. Since Chuck left and I was vice chair, we need to fill that position. So we'll look for nominations from the floor for someone for vice chair.
I would nominate Nick. Philip.
I'll second
We have a nomination and a second on the floor. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
it. Aye.
All opposed? Same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Dave. We'll move on to department reports.
Okay. A lot of field work right now. We're
getting in there. And sorry that I'm very stuffy and battling with sinus infection. So it's a lot of antibiotics right now. So no animal waste storage permits were given out in the last month. Travis has been walking fields like crazy. He's kind of at a standstill right now because of the corn. So once the corn comes off, then he'll start getting on those corn fields. So he did 11 walkovers, which was roughly 1,500 acres, because he's doing a lot of the CAPO walkovers right now. So a lot of land. So the number of walkovers is low, but the acreage is high. None of those are finished yet because of the corn crop. So once the corn comes off for silage, he'll start walking those. And then once it comes off for grain, determining on when we get snow so we can see the fields, he'll get those done. So there was only 9 were in full compliance, 2 had a schedule of compliance, and that was just the 5-foot minimum tillage setback. So once they take the crops off, he'll make sure that that 5-foot tillage setback is in and not removed. So it's a pretty easy one to fix. And then he's doing all the reimbursements for the nutrient management farmers education and working on the grant for next year's, or we just got the grant for next year's education. So Kim, what we do is we do a grant through DADCAP, and farmers come in and write their own nutrient management plans. And that has been significantly growing. I think we have 15 to 20 now. A lot of the smaller guys, so now they really understand their operation more. They understand how to utilize manure as a nutrient and not as a waste. And then it actually helps them save money because you can reduce the amount of fertilizer because now they're understanding their manure as a nutrient. So it's a really good program that we've been doing yearly in the office. So Travis has been working on that. No conservation plans for approval, nothing from the DNR in notice of non-compliance, nothing for the public groundwater protection ordinance, nothing on chapter 39, which is really good. We get updates from the weather station, NOAA, on when we're going to get severe rain, and our office sends them out to all the haulers and CCAs, and I think that you get those. People have said that they really help. And even if it doesn't get the amount of rain that we're getting, haulers are not going on the field. So it's been very helpful. So we haven't had any events lately, no spills or anything.
Just want to add to that, had some comments from haulers or from people that do appreciate that, being when they're in the field working long hours, they don't get in front of the TV to watch the news or watch the weather. So it is kind of an update that comes through from the county. So it does help so they can research a little more.
Yeah, and some of them completely fall through and some of them are more than what's anticipated, but at least it's kind of, hey, watch the weather. This could be coming today. So it's kind of nice. Yeah, a lot of haulers will actually get or finish up what they're doing or go over and do an extra tillage pass to incorporate before they leave the field because of these updates. That's been really good. Well, testing update, we had the presentation at the end of August. It is on the LWCD website. So if you just go on the LWCD website online, off the county page, and then hit well testing, the link is there. So it's Kevin in our presentation with all the data. I am working on the next round in November. We already have our first 100 signed up. So the next 200, I have finished the mailing and I'll be targeting the 0 to 20 foot, less than bedrock. And I am working on the next grant for well testing, which is due in November. So hopefully we can continue to get this funding to get more well testing for next year.
Davina, so the ones that were tested in July here, some of those will be retested or?
No, it'll be 300 new. Yep.
300.
So we're looking for 600 tests this year. So new people. Yep.
A question, Davina, on the nitrate map of Casco. Is there any correlation to these red and these black dots? Is this north? Is that Highway 54 there?
Yes,
or what?
so that's north of the road. That's that north section.
North section.
Yep.
Is there anything out there that we know of that
we've looked for manure. There hasn't been a lot of manure in that area at all. And what they're seeing down in the sands, in the midsection sands, it's the fertilizer.
Okay.
So it has to be the fertilizer going through the fields and then sitting in that profile, the sand profile, and then when we get these heavy rains, it's washing through. That's what I am thinking, because they tested all their sanitation lines for the village, and those have all come back good. And you can see the clusters.
Yeah.
So south of the river, it's all quote unquote safe, but they're all being impacted. So yeah, I mean, the farms have been not spreading manure, but when you don't spread manure, then you're putting more fertilizer on. So you're kind of switching that bacteria for that nitrate too. So, and that's what they're seeing in the sands, is that, you know, the sands are holding that nutrient. And then when we get these, we're not getting the nice little rains that we used to get. We're getting the torrential downpours, and it's just feeding that system.
Now, I came across an article in the Journal of Nutrient Management from February of 2020. There's a company in Michigan, I forget the name again, Strongman or somebody like that. They can test the isotopes of nitrates to see how old they are or where they come from. Could that be a possible next step that we could take to get some of these well tests here and test this water sample and start to pinpoint down these nitrates,
Yeah,
whether they're
possibly.
legacy nitrates or if they're from today or if they're from,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah, because that's a good question. We don't know how long those profiles are holding onto those nutrients. You know, we know in the bedrock, the nutrients can go right to the groundwater within 24 hours. But, you know, they're doing the different analysis, and that's why we're having the new NR 151 nitrate update come out. There's going to be new rules. So they've been studying them, but yeah, I don't have enough.
I mean, is that something the county or land and water office, we could take the next step, get a sample, send it in, test it, dig into it deeper?
Depending on how much it is and how, if you want to try to find that contact and see what that would be. I mean, if we started with the daycare, I'm sure that they would jump on that right away, because I believe Tim said that they went back up to 11 now.
I wanted me to mention that, yeah.
So now that the daycare's back up to 11, and there's been very little manure spreading in that area. So, and really, you're not putting fertilizer on fields right now in the summers. So,
Right,
No, but I mean, we had a lot of rain the end of
correct.
June and into July there, so
Mhm.
if you're side dressing nitrogen, there's a possibility that
Correct.
could have been leached down through the system.
Yep.
I'm just looking at the maps here. I printed them off with the presentation. It still looks like about half the wells that were tested in Casco are still positive for bacteria. That shows 5 dots on here.
Yeah, there's some bacteria hits in Casco. Now I didn't look very closely at those, so I would have to relook at them, but I know a lot of our coliform bacteria hits were like loose caps in that. We did have some of these coli that we took care of, and but yeah, I was really looking at the nitrates there. But if you're having nitrates, you have an avenue where contaminants can get into your well, so it's easy enough for the bacteria to come in there with the nitrates. But yeah, Casco definitely has an issue where almost all of their wells are being impacted by something, because it should be under 2. Under 2 should, you know, it's where you want your nitrates to be. Anything over 2 is human influence.
I can get that information, I'll forward it on the article.
Yeah, because that'd be great for the daycare.
Yeah, if
Just to
somebody
see,
wants to.
you know, if it's a newer or, you know, if it's an older, I don't know much about the age of
Yeah,
nutrients,
it was
but
just something that
Where
was
is
in
the
there.
daycare? Is it north or south?
it's north, it's
It is
right
north.
off of 54.
Village kitchen.
Yeah, so the Village
Oh,
Kitchen has a
okay,
major
yeah.
issue, then they drilled a new well, and now the daycare's having major issues, and they were using bottled water And now the DNR says that they can't use bottled water anymore because it was a temporary fix and that time period has ended. And now they have to have a permanent solution. Those are DNR rules. It's nothing we can do to override that. That's just state law. We didn't know about that until last meeting where Tim was explaining that. So I haven't heard what they're going to be doing. I just know that it's back up to 11.
Do we know how Village Kitchen has been since they drilled a new well? Are they up and down too? Or?
I don't know, but I think Tim had some of that information. We could ask him.
I thought he had said that it kind of stabilized, it come up a little bit, but it wasn't, to the point where it's over 10 parts per million.
Right.
Because I believe they're checked regularly.
They are. Yeah. The daycare's been testing monthly required. So, but yeah, definitely north of that river, there's definitely something that's impacting them because I think we had some high 20s and even some 30s, which, I mean, I'll have a 30 in Lincoln, which is not abnormal because if you, in the right circumstance, because if you get a rain at a certain time, you can go and test a well and know you're going to have a high hit because of the bedrock.
Right.
But for that to be happening in that sandy region is alarming.
Do we know anything about groundwater flow direction in that?
Well, with the river there, you're gonna have the flow towards the river. And then to the west, you have that kind of like wetland area. So it's kind of going south and west there. I mean, you're gonna have the groundwater flow towards the river because that's gonna be your lowest point. So
Did they do, because that used to be just fields, then they turned it into, did they do a lot of blasting to, like you hear about where they have to blast to dig? And
I
that
don't know.
disturbed and then caused,
I don't know. I know that there's a lot of sand, so I don't know how deep the bedrock is there. So that'd be a good question for Tim because he lives right there too, if he had to blast, but. I think it's just those sands, and that's what the central sands are seeing. The central sands are seeing 30s, 40s, 50s, and nitrates in wells because of the fertilizer going on the fields. And that's why these new nitrogen or nitrate laws are coming out.
Well, we'll keep digging into that. I'll forward that information on and we'll see if we can get something done with that.
Zoning has been really busy because they're trying to get everything in, especially from the backlog from the last 2 years. They did 9 soil inspections, 13 septic inspections, 22 inspection reports, house numbers, and then permit applications. So this is the new updated ones. So really anyone that hasn't done anything are all in the citation process with Jeff Wisnicki. So the ones that were in 2020, if they had a deadline with the 1 year to prove their soil compliance and they didn't do anything, those citations all just went out. So you didn't do anything, you didn't show good faith and say, hey, I'm working with this contractor, and then which we call the contractor because they are backed up. We cited them. So everyone is either working with us or has received a citation. But I think we're doing really good. So.
And when do we anticipate all septic systems in the county will be out there?
This is our last year of sending out the notifications of the NI systems. So then all the NI should be addressed, and then we should just be doing like the maintenance. Yep. And then when you buy or sell, you have to have your septic in compliance. So
I'm just gonna, out of the 125 enforcement letters, this is where they're labeled underneath, and then the rest are just no answer yet, waiting to find out.
Yep.
It's a lot. Isn't it?
well, the 125 for 2021, they have a year deadline. So they have
Oh, okay,
until-
so some of them probably
Yeah.
didn't know yet, they just got their letter. Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
they have July of 2022
Okay, got
They
it.
have that year. So, yep, that's pretty normal.
Yep.
So if you look at 2020, they just missed their, the deadline
Yep.
just passed.
Okay,
So we have 80 that have been passed, 11 that are, waiting for install.
And as long as they're doing something,
right.
Correct.
working with the,
I think we only cited 8 or 9 that did not do anything, so, and then we just issue a citation.
so what do we do after we issue the citation?
Then they have another deadline, and then if they don't do anything, then they keep getting citations. And then they go higher.
I was just gonna ask, do they go higher to the point where, okay, now it makes
Well, I
sense
think
we-
Jeff can bring them to court too, so once you're in the citation process, then you're actually in the court process, so then we have a heavier hammer. That's why we go through court counsel to do it and not just our office issue citations. So, but yeah, we have a really good handle, and once they usually receive a citation, then
Yeah. it
they
sounds like
usually
it's
give
very
us a
minimal.
call and start working on the process, so. That's all I have.
Any questions for Davina? We'll move on to cooperating agency reports, NRCS. I don't see anybody here from the NRCS today. UW Extension, Erica.
Sorry, I missed the last 3 meetings. It was summer. It was very busy.
Unacceptable.
Well, I think the last meeting I was at, I said we had a clean sweep coming up, and Davina got on my face that it was not coming up because it was 4 months away, but now it is only 1 month away. So
I can't work that far in
Yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah.
It's just got
So-
so much going on.
the clean sweep is set for October 30th at the highway shop in the Casco Highway, Hillside Highway Shop. I don't know the exact times. I think it starts at 8. Usually it runs from 8 until 10, or 8 until noon, I should say. It's the same thing as previous years. You need to sign up for a time so there aren't people backed up out and onto the road. But that has not been released yet. So when that is, you will definitely all know. That will be certainly published with the public, and we'll get it out as much as we can with our limited local media. So we'll definitely make sure people know about it. I've been working on videos the last few months on various aspects of farming, but I just released one this week on compost, on making compost on a large scale. So that one was released yesterday. So I went out to Christoph's, Dennis Christoph's, and got video of his compost process. And so that video is available if you want to show people how farmers make compost on a bigger scale.
Can you send me a link and I can put that, I have a composting section or manure management on our website. We can just link that.
And then it's also available on Facebook now on Extension, Kewaunee County, and then the Agriculture Extension page as well. And it's on our YouTube channel. So I'll make sure that everyone here gets that video, or on the committee. If anyone else wants the video, I'd be happy to share it with you. We got some good drone footage too, thanks to some cooperation of a local farmer. So it turned out pretty good. Other than that, we are hiring in the process now of recruiting for an crops educator. And that person does not need a master's degree. So if you know someone with a bachelor's degree who might be a good crops educator, that position is still recruiting until the 24th of September. So again, if you want that link, I can send you the link to where they should apply. A couple of other things. We have pesticide applicator training, and at DADCAP has postponed essentially. They were allowed to defer their, I guess when their license ends. So they let that extend an additional year this year. So now we have about 175, 200 people to train next year. So that'll be fun. So we've got that coming up. There's going to be a big slug of people coming through, and it's going to take a lot of effort. However, it is available online and people can take the training that way as well. So we've been doing a lot of online training, people taking the exam in person. So we'll work with whatever they need we'll do our best. Everybody will get their exam taken one way or another. And the last couple of things, I had a combine cleanout clinic on August 18th. We had some people come up from Madison. That meeting turned out pretty good. We had a couple of combines with some weed seeds in them, and there was a lot of weeds, Clark. It was really astonishing. Water hemp is a big problem right now. It's getting worse and worse. And one of the problems is because people don't clean out their combines between fields. And some of the fields look like water hemp fields instead of bean fields, and they're particularly bad in beans. Corn, you can handle it a little bit better. There's just the way the crop grows and the height and the pesticides you can apply at different times. Beans are a lot more difficult to get that particular weed out of them, and it spreads very quickly. So that was pretty interesting. Last one, we had corn dry down September 7th and September 1st. I think some farms are done with corn silage already. It's been a really nice fall so far, so let's hope it continues that way. A lot of people are out and about. Please be careful on the roads. That includes everybody, tractors and vehicles. That's all I have.
Great, thank you, Erica. Any questions for Erica? So we'll move on to Brian, the USDA APHIS Wildlife Services. We have an action item today to set the wildlife damage abatement claims program, the crop prices. Brian, I think Nick and Clark and I are familiar with this. If you just want to, Kim is new, explain a little bit to her why.
Actually, I don't have that today. We'll do it next month.
Oh,
But I
okay,
can just give you an update.
sure.
So.
Did I get that wrong or?
No, I was hoping to have it.
Okay, got it.
They didn't get it to me yet. But we can do it next month. That's not a big deal.
Got it.
So there's a state wildlife damage abatement and claims program. And money for that comes from hunting licenses, surcharge on hunting licenses, the deer donation program, bonus antlerless tags that are sold. And I'm federal, so there's federal money that comes in. So the state has the program, the county can have it or not. The county can also hire us to do it for them. So we got everybody involved. And right now, I cover 4 different counties. And we have, I forget, like 52 counties that we cover out of the 72 in the state. And I'm here to talk about potential changes. I don't know if you've discussed this at all, the legislation of.
No, I've heard some of
we-
it coming through.
We have not discussed it, but there was a resolution, I believe, at the county board level, because they wanted to take away from, I believe it was the county setting the prices and give it to the state.
They were going to take the county administration away totally.
Correct.
Yeah. So it was legislation last year, didn't get passed. This year, there's a Senate bill and an Assembly bill. And the most recent thing is back in March when something happened. And it's called LRB correction. I don't know what that means in the legislative process, but it's still out there. And what might happen is.
LRB is the Land Resource Board. I believe.
So they corrected some. Okay, they've done a fiscal estimate. And right now, there's a whole bunch of sponsors. And what they're trying to do is, I have no say, no opinion one way or the other. It benefits us, to be honest. They're going to take away the county administration. So you wouldn't have to be billed. You wouldn't have to be, I guess, bothered by a lot of it. But they're still going to have the 3-person review of shooting permits, where it's me, the DNR manager, and the county person to review the shooting permit codes. But then you wouldn't have to deal with your donation, billing. And to be honest, and there's also 8 positions that will be lost for different counties throughout the state. So some counties have their own damage program specialists, and those positions are going to be gone. I'm not sure if our agency will hire them. I have no idea, but that's a potential for Door and for Brown around here. So that's out there, and that might happen. It might not. Who knows?
Will crop prices then be set at the state level, or will they be set locally? Is that included in that bill, or how's that?
Since the county administration is gone, it would probably be with us in the state, with USDA in the state. But I've always said to my counties, I'll stop it anytime you want to do something, give me the, input. It's not fair to just walk away. We want your input. That's all our local control. There's actually some counties that it's questionable how they're doing it and how they can have a person on board
full-time. And, you know, all of them, they get reimbursed through the damage program. But they're trying to make it very consistent. And we actually, USDA makes a very consistent program, how to implement it. Another part of the bill is some very specific, something about food plots on shooting preserves. That's like how did one guy has the year of the legislator. And the other big part is about bear trapping up north, where there's inconsistencies in certain counties that are very hot about our agency. We bear trap, do all the nuisance trapping up north. And crops might get run over when you gotta put the trap at the back end of the field. And that's made a lot of people mad. Now they can get reimbursed for that. So that there's a cluster of counties up north that started a lot of this. But the biggest thing would be, there's no limit on the claims. Right now it's 15,000 or 10,000. There would be no limit on the total amount of claims on your appraisal, which is not a big deal in this county, but some counties, there's guys that have $30,000 or $40,000 and they just don't get in. So the program right now isn't working.
Who's going out and assessing those claims? Are they taking the farmer's word, or Brian, do you go out yourself to walk the property, do a yield check? Okay.
That's why we have,
It's
that's why,
a workload.
Yeah. that's why we have Brian do it.
Yeah. And I don't want it to be me, it's our, whoever, if I'm gone, whoever.
Right.
Yeah, I do a lot of walking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's out there and I'll keep you updated.
Okay.
I know some counties are making resolutions to oppose it, and that's fine. I don't care. Because there are county positions, you know, as a county, you almost have to do that.
Right.
Well, and we like the local input.
And that too, yes.
So would it be a set price across the state then, or would it vary by region at all?
We used to do it, well, I used, like next month, I'll come in with crop prices, and it'll be throughout our district, this whole southern part of the state. So it's already a region, but then you always have local input to put whatever you want. And it can make it not that huge a difference, actually. It's the price for the crops that I appraise and the damage that they're taking. And usually it's not the current rate, but it's an average.
Right.
So,
Well, I know like on SNAP, because there's different pay prices around the state. So if you don't have the local input on some of that stuff, you could get stuck with something that's significantly lower than what you're currently receiving.
and I always get their contracts for a few guys that I deal with, because it's, they have different prices, and that's just, I bring that with the plan, their contract price.
And I know the last couple of years, like the price of corn's been higher in this part of the state, and it's been further south.
Okay.
It's been a kind of a corn deficient area. So without having the local input, sometimes, you know, we could be at a disadvantage to.
I don't know what they're gonna do, if it's gonna be just one set price statewide, because that's not fair, because there's too many variables. Okay. I didn't read that in the statute, or not statute yet. It's not fun reading. But, so there's less county input, you know, the summary of it, which is good and bad. We usually try to do everything for you, so you don't have a headache.
You do, and it's awesome.
Good. That's what we're about.
Yeah, we work really great. It's,
So did the county board send a resolution?
I believe we
Yes,
did have a
this-
resolution in opposition.
An opposition, yeah.
I thought we talked about it.
Because we like the local input. The work relationship between your two offices.
absolutely.
Is good, a positive thing, but we like to have that local input.
It's the state taking over,
Yeah.
I know.
That's pretty much,
what I see.
Well,
So
thanks
it's
for that
all out there.
update.
You want to look up who's sponsoring it.
So I will put you on next month
Yes.
for
It'll be crop prices and budget. for
references and
the
budget.
2022 budget. I can send an email.
Got it.
Well, thank you, Brian. Any other questions for Brian?
Thank you.
Thanks. Seeing none, we'll move on. Comments from state legislators. We have none here today. Other agencies or organization reports. Clark, I don't know if you have anything.
No, we got a meeting in October. It's been
very little going on. We're supposed to have one.
When will they, so you're off in December, when will they appoint your position? to
There'll
this
be an
board?
election held, and it's my understanding right now that there are two candidates running for my position, and people across from up the Pagels are two candidates running for my position. The election will count ballots like the first week of December,
Okay,
and then we'll know who'll be replacing me at that point.
and then will there be an election on the FSA committee to who's on this
Yes,
committee?
yeah.
Okay. And when,
Whoever gets a short straw.
hey,
How many years have you been?
9. So
That his term is over.
you only can do 9 years and then you gotta go off, so. I've learned a lot from both sides of the issues, and the best part of, I guess, the best thing that I found is when you serve on these committees, you may not agree with a certain point of view, but you have to shut your mouth and listen, and you do get educated. And I've seen, from being on FSA prior, I was on for 3 years in the early 2000s. There are decisions that are made where there's information that is not available to the public because it's private. And we make decisions and, we get thrown under the bus out there because of some of the decisions we made. But if you've seen all the information that was provided, it would explain a lot as to why that decision went that way. And, but because the general public doesn't have access to all that information in a lot of cases, it's, you get called a lot of names sometimes, but it's,
yeah, the federal
Part of the
umbrella
job.
protects every single
Yeah.
piece of paper you have.
I always tell people that complain, well, there's what's stopping you from running
Right.
for county board, for land and water, FSA. There's no law that says you can't run for it, and sometimes I think some of them should have to serve so they get a better understanding of how our local government works.
Thanks.
Nothing for TMDO, so I haven't heard anything.
And then scheduling future meetings.
So we have October 5th. Which can we usually do the second Tuesday of every month? I just couldn't do the 12th this year, so.
And all meetings, yeah, can we do that 8:15?
And then the second would be November 9th. At 8:15. So October 5th and then November 9th. That work for everyone?
Okay, chairman's wrap up. I don't have nothing, just good discussion today. And then we'll look for an adjournment.
I'll move to adjourn.
I'll make a second.
I'll say the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Adjourn at